There are 9 races carded for Hollywoodbets Kenilworth on Tuesday, the 22nd of July. 9 competitive races. And to go through those 9 races with me in studio is Graham Hawkins. Graham, how are you?
All good, thank you, Warren. Looking forward to this meeting. We'll certainly be on a soft track. A little bit of rain has fallen. The heavy rains have fortunately gone away, but the sun promises to shine. So we should be racing under clear skies. As everybody knows, we record this on a Monday morning, more than 24 hours ahead of the start of the race meeting.
And indeed we do, and we urge you to check your scratchings, declarations, jockey changes, final betting moves. Check all those things before taking your final bets, because as Graham says, early on is the show recorded. The first race gets underway at 12:10. It's a maiden plate over 1,200 metres. Graham, and at this point in time, all 10 are going to face the starter. It looks to be number 9, Mount Augustus from the Justin Snaith stable, a horse that's improving with each and every run, and he looks ready to go today.
Yeah, look, strictly on form, he's held by number 4, Iko. If you go back to the 21st of May when they ran behind 3 Tigers, Iko was second on that occasion, and Mount Augustus was a distant 5th. But Mount Augustus has progressed since then. Last time out was his second run after being rested and gelded, so this is his peak run. And I am expecting Mount Augustus to finish ahead of number 4, Iko. What's interesting, Warren, is that Iko's had 8 starts. This is his first foray beyond 1,000 metres, so he steps up to 1,200 metres. The same comment applies to number 9, Mount Augustus, although he's only had the 3 starts. The one that is clearly distance suited is number 5, Time Honoured. There was a better run behind Late December, who runs later on in this card with a chance. That was Time Honoured's first run as a gelding. So I do make it a matching 3. My preferred choice is number 9, Mount Augustus. I think he's going to continue to improve, but there's a caveat out there. He ran second behind Spirit last time out, and I thought that might be a form line that could spark up, but it hasn't done so. And in fact, the horses that ran behind Mount Augustus have failed to flatter that form in quite a significant way. So both numbers 4, Iko and 5, Time Honoured, need to be respected, but marginally in the camp of number 9, Mount Augustus.
Yep, no arguments there. In the first race, 9, the progressive Mount Augustus for Justin Snaith and JP van der Merwe. Let's move on to the second race. The first race wasn't part of any exotic. The second race certainly is. The first leg of the bipot, of which Graham has a bipot for us, which we'll share with you later on. It's a D stakes over 1,800 metres, race 2, a 1:45, 12:45. Graham, I don't know if we can go light, and I say that there's only 7 runners, but it's competitive, the first leg of the bipot, I thought.
It is competitive because it's low grade, a D stakes 1,800 metres. Number 2, Baton Rouge, is the 16-10 favourite. Number 3, State Capital, is at 22-10. Number 1, Mela Strength, at 33-10. And then number 4, Narratois, is the only other runner quoted in single figures at 9-1. The rest are in double figures. Interestingly, I've played a bipot. It's a skeleton of a bipot, which we will share later, as you've mentioned. But I've made provision to perhaps get 1 or 2 upsets along the way. I've played against Gold Kaboski later on. Here I've included number 6, Gold Index. Bottom of the boards, not consistent. That is the hallmark of all of these runners. State Capital, flattered last time out, ran 3rd behind Midway, short in the market. But consistency for number 3, State Capital, is not a virtue. But I do think that the one they all have to beat is the in-form number 2, Baton Rouge. Richard Ferree gets on really well with him. He was a good winner last time out. Twice the Master also races later on in this program. His last 3 runs, second to 006, second to English Mistress, and beating Twice the Master by a couple of lengths. That form, despite carrying 64 kilograms, despite going up in the ratings, is good enough for Baton Rouge in this limited field to follow up. State Capital can win it. Of course, she's nicely handicapped, but she's not consistent. Mela Strength can win it on best form. Brevin Plyke is riding up a storm, takes a valuable 1.5 off. If you go back to his 3rd last run behind Askero and his penultimate run behind Happy Verse, then he has a clear chance. But then failed behind Midway, where State Capital finished comfortably 2 lengths clear. Gold Index is more of a gut feeling than a logical argument. He's flattered to deceive. He runs into the money on occasions. It's been a very long time since he last won. But I do think that the race shapes up quite nicely for number 6, Gold Index. So as far as the bipod is concerned, I've gone with numbers 2, Baton Rouge, and 6, Gold Index, aligned for a potential upset in the opening leg. But I do think that Baton Rouge should get the job done.
Just 2 horses to possibly include into the back end of quartet, and as I said, it's a 7-horse field. 4 who you've mentioned, Naratois, improving with each and every run, could possibly lurk into things. Hiawatha Goldberg's dropping in the rating, but unlikely. But if you're looking for spooks for 4th, these are the kind of horses that could help make that quartet pay should they run 4th. The third race on the card, let's move along to that, which is the first leg of the place accumulator. And 20 past 1, 13:20 is the off time. It's a maiden plate for fillies over the mile. And Graham, just to begin the discussion, I am expecting huge improvement from number 1, Champagne Blaze. But I think the stable companion, Mighty Mary, she was desperately unlucky last time.
Mighty Mary ran a very nice race. Quick word about the anti-post betting quickly. This is a competitive race. They're betting 33-10 the field. 4 Mighty Mary and 5 Zena's Act, 33-10. A bit of a nibble in the market for number 5 Zena's Act. Come back to that in a moment. Number 3 Heavenly Mafia. Nice filly, nice type of filly. She's going to relish going 1,600 metres after 2 fair efforts over 1,200. That's at 7-2. 7 Sesames at 4-1. 8 Given to Flies at 4-1. And the one you mentioned, number 1 Champagne Blaze, that is at 8-1. Has only had the 1 start. As you say, Vaughan Marshall's got a few runners in here. Gavin Larena rides number 1 Champagne Blaze. But this Mighty Mary, I think Gavin maybe couldn't get down to the 56. He's done it before, but maybe on this occasion he couldn't get down to the 56. So talking about Champagne Blaze, will step forward from that debut effort, possibly just 1 run short of delivering her best. But Warren, I think this is a pretty trappy contest. A couple of unknowns, progressive horses. Mighty Mary on collateral form should have the measure of number 5 Zena's Act. When you take it as red form into account, I know that Zena's Act went thereafter to run second at Fairview, but if you go back to the 21st of May, Mighty Mary's got the beating of number 5 Zena's Act. So I've gone with 3 Heavenly Mafia and 4 Mighty Mary in this leg of the bipot. Heavenly Mafia would be my top choice. I think she's a lovely, scopy daughter of Heavenly Blue. She should comfortably handle the mile. In fact, this is possibly what she's been looking for. But you can't nail your colours to the mast here because Sesame is there and thereabouts, and Given to Fly, who's got a lovely pedigree and represents the Candice Bass Robinson Grand Fanica combination. That ran 4th behind Okatilla. It was only her 3rd start. She's entitled to improve a lot more. So I think it's quite a trappy little race, quite a trappy little start to the bipot. But I'm going to rely on numbers 3, Heavenly Mafia, and 4, Mighty Mary. Yep,
3 and 4, Heavenly Mafia, Mighty Mary, place accumulator, bipot, etc. Let's move along into some deeper waters, into the 4th race, which is a open maiden. Over 1,600 metres, race 4. It's at 5-2, just before 2 o'clock. First leg of the pick 6, as Dees Dynan calls it, the big one. Now, you mentioned that you're looking to possibly topple Gold Gaboski. It's all about structure. It's all about how we do it. And as you say, you've got to look for the result. I thought he was the horse to beat, but is he beatable? You obviously think he is. Let's talk.
Yeah, look, he is certainly the one to beat. Lovely 2-year-old colt by Gold Standard. He was a standout as a yearling at the Cape Premier Yearling Sales of 2024. And he's run behind some decent sorts, All the Rage, Churchillian, Star Major. Last time out he ran 3rd behind Star Major. Just in front of him was United Front, who was sent out at 5-10 the other day. And ran no kind of a race at all, but I'm sure that United Front will have come back a little distressed. Vaughan Marshall had a little bit of a virus running through the yard. Perhaps United Front wasn't showing outward symptoms, but clearly he ran below best. So Gold Gaboski, definitely the one to beat. A 2-year-old, it's an open maiden, so he's giving quite a bit of weight to number 10, Royal Dawn. Now, that midway form, of course, is not strong and comes under scrutiny earlier with the likes of State Capital. So I'm fully aware that Royal Dawn is very limited. But what was interesting was that he looked outstanding that day. He was even picked out by Grant Knowles in the paddock. And it was a huge price, 150-1. And Grant picked out in the paddock, said, this horse just is so easy on the eye, so impressive, that he's going to throw him into all bets. And he nearly won the race. Now, he's got to show some form of consistency, but he's only got 52 to carry. So getting 5 kilograms from a 2-year-old, yes, who's better drawn, but Royal Dawn suddenly showed that improvement. The Ricky Maingard stable going well. So I think Royal Dawn at the weights, this being an open maiden, deserves respect. There's no doubt in my mind that Gold Gaboski is the better horse and ultimately will prove that. Two others worth a mention. Number 3, Smart Horse, just continues to disappoint, so I'm happy to sit on the fence with number 3, Smart Horse. But the Andre Nel stable is in good form in the Cape. They work without interruption, come rain, come shine, come hail, whatever. Their training facilities are that good, and the stable ticking along well. So I'm expecting better from number 9, Superhero. So I might be playing this wrong. I might be looking for ghosts to try and beat Gold Gaboski, but I've included all of numbers 1, 9 and 10 into this leg of the bipot. But I can understand why Gold Gaboski will be a popular banker for many, including in the first leg of the pick 6. He definitely is the one to beat.
He choked up last time. Let's hope he doesn't do that this time. Before we move on to the 5th race, Graham, how wonderful to see Herman Brown back in the training ranks, his first runner, the Night Ferry.
Yes, it's nice to welcome Herman Brown back, and he's got a few horses in training. He's invested quite heavily in 2 yearlings this year, which will turn 2 now in August. So he's got a lot of youngsters waiting in the wings, but a small crop of active horses. So let's hope that the Night Ferry runs a halfway decent race for him at Kenilworth tomorrow.
Race 5 is the next event that we're going to discuss. It's a C Stakes, ladies and gentlemen, over 2,200 metres. 2:30 is the off time, and jackpot leg 1. Graham Sansa Stark comes in with 50.5 kilograms from a neat draw. Surely can do way better than she did last time. You mentioned Vaughan Marshall. He did have a couple of horses scratched at the past meeting for nasal discharge or whatever it was, but he had a few scratchings and a couple of horses that ran downfield. And as you say, sometimes, with a virus, they don't show anything outwardly until they run. Taking that into consideration, I quite like Woodworld post-maiden. He's showing a bit of life post-maiden.
Woodworld is my top choice in what is another very evenly matched contest. These horses meet each other on a regular basis and they swap positions. Sansa Stark was a winner over Track and Trip in a penultimate start. As you say, the apprentice, who's relatively inexperienced, goes to 2,200 metres, claims the 4 kilograms. So Sansa Stark's going to think she's running loose. It'll be interesting to see how she goes. Back to Woodworld. Yes, he's holding form well enough to suggest that he's going to run a big race here. Vaughan Marshall is well represented in the race with no fewer than half the field. He's got 4 Woodworld, 5 Twice the Master, 6 Not Wanted. Not Wanted did us a huge favour on this show. We were strong on Not Wanted when he won his maiden at 12-1. I couldn't believe the price. He looked the part in that race, and he will continue to improve. But clearly this is a little tougher. He won an open maiden last time, but the further he goes, the better number 6 Not Wanted is going to be. He's also got number 7 Professor Snape in the race. So 4, 5, 6 and 7 all trained by Vaughan Marshall. It's a very evenly matched contest. I'm expecting a good run from number 3 Real Stunner, and in fact Forward World is my top choice. With the principal threat, I make number 3 Real Stunner. So I've gone with numbers 3 and 4 in this leg of the bipot. But that is not to say that the likes of Sansa Stark, 2 a penny, Twice the Master, Heliotrope, and even Not Wanted, if he progresses enough, are not going to make their presence felt. From a jackpot point of view, from a pick 6 point of view, if you decide to bank a Gold Gaboski in the opening leg of the pick 6 and you get away with that, I would suggest you throw all 8 runners into this leg, race 5.
Because you could certainly, as you say, make a case for most of them or all of them. Heliotrope, I'm glad you mentioned her because she meets Woodworld on identical weight terms. She last 2 starts, she's been drawn deep. She's drawn deep again. Yes, it's a small field, but a deep draw is a deep draw. So even her, she could get a blow in here, race 5. But competitive race, as Graham says, if you can go all 8, go in. Go all in. The 6th race is the Turf Talk Syndicate B Stakes, which runs at 3:05. 1,000 metres is the distance. And Graham, when I first had a look, I was big in the camp of Elusive Winter. But then a horse called the US of A, I think he could be ahead of the handicapper. And even Roman Agent, who now relocates to the Vaughan Marshall stable, would have a chance. But the list doesn't end there.
Highest rated race in the card, this B Stakes, 1,000 metres, race 6 off at 3:05. The money's coming in quite a big way for number 5, the US of A, is into 13-10 when last I looked just before recording the show. Number 1, Elusive Winter at 7-1, 2 Peace of Mind at 4-1, 3 Flying Finley at 5-1, 7 Tanneron at 15-4. Now here's a decision that punters are going to make. The US of A, His form since been gelding is good, but is he vulnerable? I suspect he might be. He was incurred a £7 penalty for beating Escarpment last time out. Escarpment at least came out to flatter the form. But if you go back in time, Flying Finley actually beat the US of A not that long ago. Then the order was reversed when last they met. So it's not going to be easy for the US of A, but the manner in which, Warren, they've spoken this horse up, every time Robert Bloomberg goes on there, every time Paddy Craig goes on there, they do believe him to be a horse that will work his way right through the division. So victory for the US of A is not, in my book, a certainty, even though the betting reflects that he's a very warm order favourite. But somewhere along the way, you've got to try and nail your colours to the mast. So in assessing this race, I sort of try to picture how the race was going to be run. So you've mentioned Elusive Winter, Stable Companion is Peace of Mind, Flying Finley. They all come bolting out of the gates. Elusive Winter at his absolute best over the minimum trip. So the pace here, irrespective of the going, is going to be super hot early with Elusive Winter, Peace of Mind and Flying Finley disputing for the lead. And that might well set the race up nicely for the US of A, as well as Tanneron. Tanneron cannot be ignored. So in picturing the way I think the race is going to fold out, I'm visualizing Richard Ferree sitting on the heels, maybe a length or two off the back of that early speed duel between Elusive Winter, Peace of Mind and Flying Finley, and hopefully quickening up smartly inside the final 200 meters to win going away. So I'm going to throw my lot in with number 5, the US of A. I've made him a bipod banker. I might take two different sort of pick experiments, one where I bank a Gold Kaboski and the other where I cover that and bank the US of A and vice versa and so on, because there's some trappy little races. The fields are not big, but they're trappy little races, and the potential, particularly in races 8 and 9, the potential for upsets is certainly there. So the US of A would be a popular winner. The way they've talked him up, I would think that despite the £7 rise, he could get the job done. But there are others that come into the race at the weights with chances.
And of course, as we mentioned, there will be a little give in the ground. And of course, the USA, that's no problem for him. He's had 4 starts for a win in 2 seconds when the going's been a bit forgiving. So there we go. The US of A, as you've heard from Graham, well backed at this point in time into 13 to 10. And let's see what he can produce there. But that is the B Stakes, as you said, the highest rated race on the most competitive and highest rated race on the card. That's race 6. Race 7 is the next event. It's a D Stakes over 1,200 meters, 20 to 4, 15:40. And just to repeat, the time of recording, no scratchings or jockey changes. Please check those. And wow, I'm going to go straight to you because I don't have much of an opinion here. If I could afford as many horses or the field, I would go that way.
Well, it's either pretty much Lover's Lane and Gravity or the field. This is a D Stakes, as you said, over 1,200 meters. They're betting 4 to 1 the field, 5 Lover's Lane and 8 Champagne Mac at 4 to 1, 9 Royal Lytham at 5 to 1, Gravity at 11 to 2. That's number 6. 10 Timeline, who showed improvement in a weakish race last time out, is at 9 to 1. So here again, Warren, it's an interesting race, this Class D Stakes, because the in-form horse is without doubt number 5, Lover's Lane, and suddenly holding his form quite nicely. Doesn't know what it is to run a bad race. And if you can get away with going light in a race like this, these D-Stakes type races, and get away with it, so I'm going quite strongly for number 5, Lover's Lane. I know he's the obvious choice. The form book speaks volumes, firing on all engines. Pipped him at the post last time and runs later on in this card. Gravity does warrant respect if the apprentice, who claims 4 kilograms, can get the best out of the 4-year-old son of Karari. That 4 kilogram allowance makes him quite nicely handicapped against number 5, Lover's Lane. Champagne Mac, not always reliable. Timeline needs to confirm the improvement. Adam Marcus's 2 runners, True Horizon and Tambourine Man. Tambourine Man pulled up with the virus last time out and should be a lot more competitive here, but has 61.5 to shoulder. So Lover's Lane, for me, Warren, a clear first choice. And you know what? One of my jackpots, I'm certainly going to take my chances on banker him.
Well, since he's come back from that layoff, he's just come back good. He's run his first run back, third, 2.5 to Avignon. That's second run, shorted, as you said, to firing on all engines. So the breaks, whatever the reason for the break or the 14-week layoff, he's come back and he's come back good. So Graham could be on the button here, and the third career victory for Lovers Lane could be tomorrow or today, depending on when you're watching this show. Let's go along to the 8th race, and race 8 on the card is a Class 4 event where the benchmark is at 1,200 meters, and we race at 20 past 4. A horse that, just for some, just for a bit of fun, Late December, brilliantly named, recent maiden winner out of that mare 63. Of course, it was a great song. But he took his time to win his maiden, but always difficult first time out the maiden. So let's see how he goes. This horse that's just come back from KZN, Honor of Kings, I suspect he's going to run a huge race. When some of these horses come back from KZN back into the Cape, they've loved their time here with the sun on their backs, and they run huge races first run back.
Clear chance, top of the betting boards at 3-1 in an open market is number 7, Honor of Kings. 3, Kariaku is the one that's getting the money into 33-10. Number 2, Late December at 5-1. 9, Commanding at 5-1. 8, Winterpearl at 7-1. That's the early betting call for this, the 8th race. Now, Honor of Kings, I think Justin must be scratching his head in a serious way, because he showed such potential early on. His 2 runs in KwaZulu-Natal, one would have to say, were disappointing. Richard Fourie gets back aboard him. He's got the pedigree, he's got the looks. On some of his best form, he wouldn't be winning out of turn here. And he's clearly one of the 4 that I think are in with a shout of winning this race. You mentioned Late December. For me, it's interesting, Warren, because Greg Enyon always spoke highly of this chap. And when you consider that his maiden victory was his first run this calendar year, so I'm almost kind of assessing him as if it's a reboot of his career. Forget what happened in 2024, even though his form wasn't that bad. Let's purely just judge him on his 2025 form, which is that sole run and sole victory of African Memoir, who came out to win well next time. So that form has been franked in no uncertain terms, because African Memoir looks a very good horse. So I'm expecting number 2, Late December. Yes, as you mentioned, it's not easy first up out the maidens, but I don't think the mark of 79 is too bad for him. I think the handicapper might have let him get away with one here, because often we see these maiden winners, 3-year-old maiden winners in the 80s. So I think he could be competitive off that mark of 79. I respect the money for number 3, Kariaku. Not quite sure what is his best distance, but it was a good penultimate start behind Golden Destiny, but that was back in January. We haven't seen Kariaku for a while. But Eric Sands will get them fit, and I think the booking of Gavin Arena is significant. Winterpearl, again, apprentice Bungani's back from suspension. This carries just 51 kilograms. Bungani's confidence will have been lifted. He rode 2 winners just before going on suspension, so he's broken the ice, and this is a nice ride for him, because Winterpearl revels in the softer ground. The Ricky Maingard stable, as we said earlier, in good form, so Winterpearl will be competitive. I'm going to make my top choice number 2, Late December. I'm going to go out on a little bit of a limb ahead of 3, 7 and 8. But Honor of Kings will be competitive. This is not a deep race. It's not going to take a lot of winning. There's not a lot of solid form to go around. And the same comment will apply to race 9, which is also a Class 4 over 1,200 meters. So they had... It's a 9-race card because they had 18 acceptors for the Class 4, and they decided to split it into 2. So this is the first division, the 8th race of that Class 4, the split up Class 4 handicap. And there's not a lot of solid form to go around.
Last question for race 8 before we go and tackle race 9. Number 9, Commanding. For quartet purposes, 4.5 lengths off the USRA over the 1,000, now 1,200. Would he go in?
Yeah, I think he's obviously got a chance. The betting suggests he's got a chance. Again, he's been an underachiever. When he started out his career, and when you look back, he ran second to Garrick's over 1,400 meters almost a lifetime ago. And then he's shown smatterings of form, but I can't rely on him. I think there is some ability there somewhere, and maybe Grant Vanica can unpack that ability.
The 9th race on the program, which is the final event, that, as you heard from Graham, is again at 1,200. It's again a Class 4, and at 5-5, 16.55. Firing on all engines, lovely for that ownership with Colin Aiken, Marius Minjil and Mr. Volchek. This horse is really doing well, firing on all engines. Richard Fourie gets the ride, beat Lovers Lane a short head, so he's obviously got to have a bright chance. But this horse, Ridian, keeps me interested. The only runner for Dean Kannemeyer on the day, likes the course and distance, and overall form is fair, Ridian.
Another possible banker, number 9, Ridian. Top division horse, running in the Class 4. But we know he's had a wind up. We know he's got breathing issues. Dean Kannemeyer really, really rates this horse, as does Craig Zaki. I know Craig's not riding him. Louis Mkotwe rode him last time out, went third behind Azuri. So he comes with a warning sign label, like when you pack the cigarettes, Ridian comes with such a warning label, because you look at his form early in his career, second to Talk to the Master, second to Great Plains, second to Chestnut Bomber, second to Green Planet, before finally winning his maiden off a long break following that wind up. I think they wanted him to go further, but he battles to breathe. So they're restricting him to 1,200 metre sprints. But Dean assured me this was potentially a top division horse. On that basis, despite having to carry 61 kilograms, over 1,200 metres, number 9 Ridian is going to be the one they have to beat. But there's always the potential that things can go awry. There's always the potential that he can choke up. And clearly number 2, Firing on All Engines, has the form to suggest that he'll pick up the pieces if Ridian falls apart. And one that I would include is Gavin Lorena's mount, his number 5, Paratrooper. He's hopelessly inconsistent, but when caught in the right mood, he can deliver, counter-attack, and all about others to consider for trifectas and quartets. But I'm strongly in the camp of Ridian, and just putting my hands together that all goes well with him in the race, that he breathes normally, that the fact that his class will carry him through, even though Dean Kannemeyer said to me, look, 1,200 metres is at the absolute bottom of his range, but we've got to deal with what we have to, make a plan with him. And he seems to breathe best over 1,200 metres. So let's hope he gets away with it, because he's the best horse in the race.
Just before we go through and wrap up and talk about your bipot, you mentioned the breathing issues. Yeah, of course, but as I mentioned yesterday at Hollywoodbets Scottsville, there was a particular horse that my colleague fancied and was just drifting and drifting and drifting. And, you've got to make a decision. Either you stick to your guns and take the drift, or, that's the decisions that punters are faced with. And here you've got a horse, as you say, that doesn't breathe well. And you take a chance. Are you going to brass him or go with him? We take the chance, because, as you say, he's a very nice horse. The form is there. So, yeah, I'm in your camp. I'm prepared to be with him and take that risk. That's what it's all about.
It is a risk, but if you get away with the risk, he should be too good for this. Even though Firing on All Engines sets a useful standard in the race, and Paratrooper, if he's caught in the right mood, can beat the best of them in that sort of division.
Well, we're taking the risk, ladies and gents. We're in Ridian's camp. We'll be happy if he wins, of course, but as I say, it's a risk, and we're prepared to take it. Graham, you've got a bipot for us, and we're going to get that slide up, and we'll go through your bipot, and we'll come back and wrap up the show after that.
Well, here we go, the bipot. It's a skeleton perm. I've included a number of potential upset results to try and boost that dividend for minimum spend. The first leg of the bipot, race 2, 12.45. Going with number 2, Baton Rouge, who's my top choice. Backing up with the one at the bottom of the boards, number 6, Gold Index. I've just got a gut feeling that's going to run pretty well in a very shallow race. 3 and 4, Heavenly Mafia and Mighty Mary in the second leg, but again, that's competitive. There are a few others with chances. Now, here's the key decision you've got to make. I'm playing to beat number 1, Gold Gaboski in the third leg of the bipod, respecting full well that he's going to take a ton of beating, but I'm throwing in numbers 9, Superhero, and the very lightly weighted number 10, Royal Dawn. Then again, numbers 3 and 4, Real Stunner and Wood World, others with chances there as well. I'm not deserting Not Wanted. It does a huge favour completely. I will include Not Wanted into the jackpot on the pick 6 play, because that's a real tough race. Going to take my chances and banker number 5, the US of A, in the penultimate leg. He's got some work to do at the weights with a 7-pound penalty. There's a lot of speed around him. Should be finishing off the race very nicely, and they've always regarded him as a potential top division sprinter. So throwing my lot in with number 5, the US of A. The last leg, numbers 5, Lover's Lane, 6, Gravity, and 10, Timeline. You can play alternate perms with number 5, Lover's Lane, a potential banker. Because the more I look at the race, Warren, as you know, we send in these perms early so that they can put them up on screen for us. But the more I look at that race, the more I'm convinced that Lover's Lane is actually going to score that overdue victory.
Okay, that's Graham Hawkins' bipot. He's taken you through it. We've gone through the entire card, and all that's left is to wish you all happy punting. Big week for us in KwaZulu-Natal, of course, the World Pool Gold Cup on Sunday, and we look forward to that, and the sun will set on champion season.
Can you believe we're approaching the end of champion season 2025? But for the World Pool Gold Cup, we were chatting off air. Craig was right, the owner's right. It's King Pels. I went and did all the research I could do, and I think he's going to take a ton of beating.
Yeah.
One of my favourite horses in training. We got him right a few times at a huge price. He's not a huge price for the World Pool Gold Cup, but I do think that King Pels, as he's now going to be called, quite correctly so, will take a lot of beating.
What a great prep he's had, and having a chat with the Finzel team. Great prep. I mean, he's won along the way. I mean, you don't necessarily always win your preps, but he certainly has. Great prep, and I agree with you. I think he's going to be hard to beat.
Holding Thumbs must be getting tired of seeing the back of King Pels. So in all three of King Pels' victories this calendar year, the chairman's down in Cape Town, the Tote Derby, and the SABC Gold Vase, Holding Thumbs has run second. So he's seeking to get revenge. But doesn't seem to matter what the weight turnaround is. King Pels seems to have his measure.
Right, that's it. So King Pels for us, but more about that at a later stage during the week. Happy punting for Hollywoodbets Kenilworth Tuesday the 22nd. From Graham Hawkins and myself, all the best.